Thanks for joining us again for our next exercise. Today we're going to be talking about organizations. How do we create an organization hierarchy? We'll be using a Livingstone rewards for the name of our parent level organization, and we'll create two regional organizations under there. Livingstone Rewards Fiji and Livingstone Rewards US. So for these sub-organizations, we're actually going to go ahead and create organization sites that correspond for the organization. We'll make these organization sites both use a default sort of template for the pages in that site, and we'll use a private internet site, so you'll see what that looks like shortly. And the reason we're using private pages, that helps us to show the concept of site membership very clearly. Because if we use public pages, we won't be able to determine as easily if the user is a member of the site. To test that, we want to use private pages. So we're going to go ahead and assign one of the users that we created in a previous exercise, in fact the last exercise, to one of these organizations. We want to test that if I add a user to the organization, specifically the organization and not the organization's site, okay? If I add a user to the organization, they should have, as a consequence, an implicit membership inside of the organization's site. And everything that involves being able to access the private pages on that site. So that's a concept we want to understand here. You become a member of an organization, you automatically become a member of the organization's site. You can typically manage the site membership manually, but with organization sites, the default is that you cannot manually manage the site membership, but automatically it's going to happen when you add or remove users from your organization. That will be synced up with your organization site. So hopefully that makes sense. We'll get into that a little bit more. The last step we'll do is just testing it out by logging in as one of these users that we've added to the organization site. Here are the steps. We'll create the Livingstone Rewards organization, as well as two sub-organizations for United States and Fiji. We'll assign Jason Murray as a user to the US organization. So that's really the only one we'll test here. It doesn't matter really if you're doing it US or Fiji, but we're just using US for now. And whether or not you gave Jason Murray a password to log in the last exercise, you probably should have. That would be test or whatever you set it to. Of course, he's going to have to reset that password when he logs in, and you'll use that password going forward whenever you log in as Jason Murray. And you'll go to that site and see if you can access those private pages. If you want to do a bonus exercise, you can create additional sub-organizations for the regions of Indonesia, Spain, and Japan. You can test out adding those logos to these organizations. And just like in the last exercise, if you want, you can play around with editing the contact information for the organization. Further ways to define and describe your organizations and add additional metadata or information. Step 4 would be to then go and add an organization site for each of these new regional areas that you created. And then you could use our other user that we created last time, Hannah Jones, and go ahead and add her to one of these organizations. Without further ado, let's get started. Here we are, and I'm going to log in as our super admin user. Okay, so where do we start? Well, we don't have any organizations as of yet. I've actually already gone and created them, but I'm going to delete them now. And this is just more for you to see here. I've actually already gone and created this organization. I'm going to attempt to delete it. It's going to complain. The setup that we have here has two sub-organizations, so I'm going to go ahead and try to delete these. I think it's going to complain again. No, it's fine. Let's go into US. Okay, we're good. There's no users inside of these right now, so I'm good to delete them. Perfect. I'll click on users and organizations again. And if you're wondering where the organizations are, well, you just have to click on the tab here. Let's go ahead and finally remove our last parent organization. So the idea is it's pretty safe. It won't let you delete any organizations as long as there are sub-organizations or members. So let's go through this process step by step. First, we'll create our top level organization, which will host all of our child ones. It won't have any country or tag, and we'll press save. It directs us to the edit organization reward screen, much like it did for the user, which is perfect. If we want to add in more information now, we can. And you'll also notice that we had no option of creating that organization site when we initially created the organization. To do so, we would need to first create the organization, and then it gives us that ability. Do we have the ability from here to add a child organization? Well, no, it doesn't look like we do. We're going to have to navigate back to Organizations and go to our action menu here and press Add Organization. So this will create a child organization. We'll give it the name Livingstone Rewards Fiji. We'll specify the country as Fiji. Okay. And let's also add just a little tag here, which we could make use of. By specifying the tag, it will create it for us. We'll press save. Let's navigate back to organizations and see what this has done for us. So where is Fiji? Well, the reason it doesn't show here is you actually need to navigate into the parent organization first, and you'll see the users and organizations within Livingstone Rewards. Let's go ahead and create our other child site. So I'll navigate back. Cool. So I can also just navigate to the organization and press the add button. That's another way to create a new organization. So just cool to show you a couple different ways to do that. Livingstone Rewards US is our second country. We need to make one for. Let's add a tag. I'm going to test out something here. Oh, look. Now our Fiji tag shows up, so that's pretty cool. But we're not going to use that right now. We could use that Fiji tag across our portal. But for now, we're going to create a new tag called United States. There's probably even more ways to do this. You can see here when we're creating this organization that it says parent organization. So let's try that as a final way. This is kind of all extra that you get for watching the videos, just to show that there's multiple ways to do something. Let's go back and just delete this organization to try out our last option. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to press add. I'm at the top level here. Once again, specify United States. Okay, tag. That was already created from last time. And here we can specify a parent organization. So that's the third way to do it. Let's navigate back to users and organizations. And we have two child sites that are both tied to a specific country. So what's the next step? Let's go back to our slides for a second. Okay, the next thing we need to do is create organization sites, because those do not get created by default. So let's navigate back to the browser. So if we actually want to edit it, we're going to click on this action menu and click edit or add user. It's another option, right? We're not going to add the user yet. First, we are going to create an organization site. So let's go here and say simply create site. And to test this out, we are going to create a private pages because we want to test this out. And to test out site membership, we need to use private pages. We'll press save. It's gone and created our organization site. So the next step would be to do the same thing for our other sub-organization. Now I've gone and actually navigated and I've got this new option here I want to show you. Now that we've gone and created an organization site, in the action menu it gives us an additional drop-down option, which is manage site. If we go over to rewards US, we don't see that option. It's because it doesn't have a site yet. So let's go ahead and click edit and go ahead and create that organization site. Same thing, we're going to use intranet site with private pages. And what these two options are these are just default site templates. What that means is that it just has some default pages for you based on the type of site you want. And you don't have to use these, you can create your own sites from scratch. You can also create additional site templates that further suit your needs, which you probably will want to do later down the road. These are just defaults that are shipped with Liferay out of the box. So again, we're going to use private pages, or it's taking us to the edit screen. From here, we can manage the site. Let's click on that just a second to see some of the options. So now where we are now managing a organization site. We are no longer dealing with the organization itself. Just one thing to point out here, organization sites are going to have this flag turned off by default. Allow manual membership management. We talked about this a little bit. Why is this turned off? Well, it's because for organization sites, the membership should be reflected based on the organization membership. So that's going to be an automatic process. We don't need to go in and manage the site membership manually, because that could create issues, right? Like, let's say we had 40 people in our marketing organization. And if we go and then add someone to the organization site, but they're not part of the organization, that doesn't really make sense. That would be out of sync. Nevertheless, you do have the option to turn this on if you want. Usually this is on for other sites, but for organization sites, it's not. Okay, lots of explanation here. Let's go through the last step to add a member to the organization. Key thing here to remember is we are not adding them to the organization site. So we'll go over here and we'll click assign users. We're not going to click add user. This is actually going to create a new user, which you could do, but we have existing users that we want to use. We can assign multiple users, but we're only going to select James and press done. That's it. We finished. So let's see here. How do we navigate to this site? Let's go find a page on the site. Livingstone Rewards US. He's the one, he's been added to Livingstone Rewards US. So let's go to site. Okay, so here's our URL that we can use. Group, which site are we in? We're in the Livingstone Rewards US site. This friendly URL is automatically generated based on the name of the site, but we can also change that if we want. I'm going to copy this and test this out by logging in as James Murray. Now you don't have to memorize the friendly URL. I'll show you another way to get to the site. So we're still in a default site, but I've used the friendly URL to navigate to this organization site. And how did that happen? Well, it's because Josiah Copeland is a member of the organization, and consequently, he should have access to the organization site. Here's another way to navigate. You can go to My Sites, and it's going to show you all of the sites you've recently navigated to and the ones that you're a member of. Now, you might be sort of confused if you go to the control panel. Okay, so if I go to the sites and I look at Livingstone Rewards US, which it has this helpful word in parentheses organization to show you that that is an organization site. So if I go to here and I look over here, it actually says that there are 0 members, but it has this tooltip that says inherited memberships are not included in members count. So I think the idea here is that, okay, are there members here? Well, it's implicit. That's why the count is not updated, but that could be confusing. And it caught me up once when I was trying to troubleshoot this, and I thought, oh, well, I've added him to the organization, so why isn't he a member of the site? Well, the idea is it's an implicit or inherited membership. That's why it does not update the count. All right, so hopefully you learned a lot there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next exercise.